Hi everyone, it's Bree here. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, and if you're a returning subscriber, hey, welcome back. In today's video, I will discuss OnlyOneOf and their recent comeback, libidO. When the music video dropped yesterday, K-pop fans were buzzing over the release. Some were praising OnlyOneOf for their very daring concept, while other people were very uncomfortable and critical, saying that the whole concept was way too much. In this video, I'll be diving into some background on OnlyOneOf and the nature of their discography, the meaning behind their title track libidO and their mini album Instincts Part 1, the concept of the music video and the mixed reception they've received from K-pop fans, and what I think of the concept. Is this LGBTQIA plus representation, or is this sexploitation or queerbaiting? Before we get into it, I want to start off with a very quick disclaimer. If you are under 18 and or are uncomfortable with discussions concerning sexuality and sexual situations, please click off this video. I'm grown and I'll be discussing grown things in this video. I also want to say that I'm not a member of the LGBTQIA plus community. I am a straight cis woman, so my intention is not to speak for or over people of the LGBTQ community. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get right into the video.
I'm saying I don't wanna come down from your love. We'll get lost together like we fly. Don't ever let me come down from your love.
So who is OnlyOneOf? OnlyOneOf is a 7-member boy group under 8D. The members are KB, Love, Rie, Yoojung, Junji, Mill, and 9. OnlyOneOf made their debut with Time Leap and Savannah in May of 2019, so they could still be considered as a rookie group. I personally discovered OnlyOneOf when I heard their song Dora Maar, and I was very pleasantly surprised because it was really different than a lot of K-pop songs I was hearing at that time. It was very chill and sensual, and I also liked that the song was kind of an ode to the artist Picasso's girlfriend of the same name, Dora Maar. I just loved the mature vibes the group gave off in general, and I thought the choreo was very interesting. So over time, I eventually listened to other songs by OnlyOneOf like Sage, which is a bop by the way, definitely check it out, Angel, and Song of Ice and Fire, and I realized that mature themes exploring taboo, sexuality, and even religion seemed like a very prevalent theme throughout their music, which really piqued my interest because I love overanalyzing themes like that. So for example, in Sage you have lines like "Take my hand, please be my God," with imagery of women portrayed in a goddess deity-like fashion. So remember these themes of sexuality, taboo, and religion because it'll all tie in later. So like I said, I was familiar with OnlyOneOf but never really followed them religiously or stanned them. But as they were preparing for their comeback Instincts Part 1, I came across their concept photos and well, things got interesting. The concept photos show each member, starting with Mill, but with each member's photo, they remove another article of clothing until we get to 9, who is shirtless and in the process of unbuttoning his pants. I have to say I was pretty surprised by this because I'd never seen K-pop concept photos that were this blatant. It definitely surprised me, and I do think that 8D's marketing did work because it did pique my interest in their comeback even though I wasn't a hardcore fan or anything. But you know what they say, sex sells, right? So when OnlyOneOf dropped the teaser for their music video libidO, I'm gonna be straight up with you, I was shocked when I watched both teasers. The first thing that got me was the actual title of the song. I was like, libidO? I'm sure you know that libidO is basically your sex drive. So I was like, wow, this is K-pop? Okay, this is new. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying K-pop artists don't sing about sex because they definitely do, but I have personally never seen such a blatant title in K-pop before. So when I watched the teaser, I kind of knew what to expect going by the title. I just didn't know how far the music video would actually go. But the visuals in the teaser were stunning, so I knew I would watch the music video to see exactly what the concept would be like, and more importantly, I wanted to hear the song. Okay, so now let's get into the music video. It was quite an experience. First of all, the cinematography was drop dead gorgeous, point blank. It really felt like I was watching a very artsy indie film instead of a music video, and the members pulled off the concept so well. I think they have great chemistry and they look great together aesthetic wise. As far as the song itself, it sounded very experimental and it reminded me of Lady Gaga's art pop album or Stray Kids' Side Effects. The song was pretty intense and it definitely sticks out to me when compared to other K-pop songs I've heard recently. Okay, but now let's talk about what some people had an issue with: the touching, the skinship, the longing stares, and the choreography. If you read the description of the music video on YouTube, there's actually a synopsis of libidO, stating, "The title track libidO shares the boy's impulsive mind through the expression of Sigmund Freud. The mind's energy, libidO, is considered as a feeling that shouldn't be openly talked about in real life and should be concealed, so its existence is often denied. However, the more the boy tries to suppress libidO, the stronger it gets, and the more impact it has on his subconscious." So if you're not familiar with Sigmund Freud, he was basically the father of psychoanalysis and is famous for exploring human nature and the subconscious. To Sigmund Freud, libidO wasn't defined as a purely sexual subconscious desire. Freud actually defined libidO as the energy that comes from drives or instincts that direct our behavior. But in the context of this song, I definitely think that OnlyOneOf was referring to a more sexual desire. Going by the synopsis, it sounds like the song is talking about the temptation of a certain desire that the members are trying to suppress, but at the end of the day, they can't ignore it and it becomes real, even though it's taboo and not openly talked about. So when I read that synopsis, watched the music video, and put two and two together, I was like, oh, this is gay. This is very gay. To me, it was telling the story of an LGBTQ person's experience. So if you look at the lyrics of libidO, there's nothing really explicit, but it clearly depicts a situation of wanting someone and accepting your desires, and you can see the boys portray that with each other through their choreography. After reading some tweets on Twitter and some online community posts, some K-pop fans, especially some K-netizens, felt that the choreography and some scenes in the music video were way too much and provoked discomfort, specifically pointing to certain parts of the choreo, like where one of the members' hands moves over another member's crotch, and just a lot of touching, etc. overall. Now I have to say, the little crotch grab did kind of throw me off too. It wasn't really necessary, so to say, but if that's what they felt comfortable doing, then fine. These netizens were also shocked when OnlyOneOf performed the choreography on M Countdown, commenting on how revealing their outfits were, and again commented on the choreography being too explicit. Now, even though I can see the concept might have made some people uncomfortable, I can't help but to point out the fact that hypersexual concepts have happened in K-pop so many times before, even between same-sex idols. Off the top of my head, interactions between groups like SHINee, Super Junior, VIX, Ace, and even Red Velvet come to mind. For example, when Monster by Red Velvet's Irene and Seulgi dropped last year, I remember noting their chemistry, but I don't remember seeing anyone complain about the nature of the music video. On top of that, other idols have had sexy concepts, including choreography alone or with opposite-sex idols, sometimes having to modify their performances for live Korean television, and no one seems to complain about that. So what's the real issue here? I also saw some people online saying that the concept was queerbaiting. Like I mentioned before, I'm straight, so I don't want to speak for or over queer people, but from what I understand, queerbaiting is a marketing technique for fiction and entertainment in which creators hint at but then do not actually depict same-sex romance or other LGBTQ representation. I would argue that we can't really define the libidO concept as queerbaiting because we're not talking about fictional characters here, we're talking about idols. And on top of that, to be honest, we actually don't know their sexualities. We can't assume if they're straight or part of the LGBTQ community because we just don't know. Other people complained that the boys were being exploited and that they were being forced by their company to do overly sexual concepts. I wondered about this too, and I thought of other K-pop groups who have been victims of this in the past, such as the girl group Stellar. But according to many fans, the boys have a lot of creative liberty and come up with their choreography themselves. So if they're comfortable with the clothing, choreography, etc. and want to do it, can we really say they're being exploited? Now that said, I commend OnlyOneOf for coming up with such a daring concept. I think their intention was definitely to have people buzzing about them, but at the same time, the concept of libidO isn't too far off from their previous concepts. So should we really be surprised? They've done suggestive choreo before, but at the same time, I can't help but to worry about OnlyOneOf for a few reasons. What's next for them? This music video pretty much pushed the boundaries in the K-pop scene. So how will they continue from here? Will their fans expect them to continue with concepts like these? Or will this concept be a standalone? Also, what about their success domestically? We know that South Korea is still quite conservative when it comes to many social issues, and many K-netizens express their distaste for the concept. I can't help but wonder if they'll be taken seriously in Korea, or if they've ruined their image domestically. I hope not. And I also wonder if this will cause them to rely solely on international fans, which might not be a good thing. I also want to mention that their management does have a tendency to have the boys do things to get attention from potential fans. If you're not familiar with Junji, he's the member with long hair and bangs. During a recent appearance on KBS Joy's Ask Anything, the host asked Junji about his hair, asking if he could see. Junji actually said no and went on to complain about the difficulties while doing everyday activities with his long hair. Junji explained that he had to hold a member's hand to move and even needed help finding the door when he arrived at the film set. Quote, I had to hold a member's hand when walking up the stairs to the stage. When I'm on the stage, I danced a while looking at the floor. I did look forward when it was my part, but I still couldn't see much. Junji expressed that he was worried about cutting his hair because he was afraid his group wouldn't be recognized without his signature look. That kind of alarmed me, to be honest, because it did make me wonder if 8D had been encouraging Junji to keep his hair like that so OnlyOneOf could get more attention, even though not being able to see properly is a huge inconvenience to Junji's everyday life. It looks like he's cut his hair now, which is great, but it made me wonder what else the company is pushing the boys to do for recognition. I mean, they are still a very small group. Some people actually refer to them as a nuku group or a group that no one really knows. So could the company potentially be pushing them to do things so they will gain more recognition and become successful? Could the company expect them to do concepts like these for their entire career? And finally, could it be detrimental or selling themselves short to just be known as the group who does really sexy concepts? To wrap things up, I think libidO fits with the overall theme of the album, Instinct Part 1. Each track on the album tells a story, from accepting your subconscious desires with libidO, to following your intuition and falling in love with instinct, exploring the dark and obsessive side of love with byrito, and Tear of God, the story of an individual talking to God after indulging in his impulse. I think to fully understand the concept of the song and music video, you need to look at the album as a whole and also have an understanding of the rest of OnlyOneOf's discography. Of course, this concept and music video isn't for everybody, but I don't think OnlyOneOf intended for the concept to be liked and accepted by everyone in the first place. They are clearly going the road less traveled and going for a more artsy, taboo side of K-pop, discussing sexuality and accepting yourself for who you are. And in my opinion, they should be free to do so. I also want to close by saying, although some people were offended or made uncomfortable by the video, I think it's great that some members of the LGBTQ community felt included and represented and felt that their stories were being told through the Instinct Part 1 album. I wish we could see more of that in K-pop, and who knows, maybe OnlyOneOf is paving the way for that to happen. Anyway guys, that's it for the video. Please comment your thoughts on OnlyOneOf's concept for the title track, libidO. libidO really threw me for a loop and made me think, and that's so refreshing when you start feeling like so many K-pop concepts have been done over and over again. So thanks so much for watching, and if you liked this video, please make sure to subscribe, ring the bell, and give this video a thumbs up. See you in the next video. Bye!